did become a member of NWA?
It was dope. It was dope because I felt like I had earned my respect that I always looked for, but I really wished Eazy was there so it could have been a real full combination of, because I really loved Eazy-E.
You had Dre on your label at one time? Or was he with you?
He was in NWA, and he was a producer for Ruthless Records.
All right. So Snoop Dogg was never with you?
No, he was never with me. Compton and Long Beach, they don't get along with each other. See, like, people in Compton really don't, claim Dre as being from Compton, and they don't claim Snoop from being from Long Beach.
Career ender, especially for celebrities, but not in the case of the rap singer who calls himself, quote, Snoop Doggy Dogg. A judge in Los Angeles refused today to drop charges against him.
Snoop was involved in a drive-by shooting.
Is that true?
Yeah, it's true. Me out on bail right now. But hey, good luck, brother.
Everybody remembers how wild the beef between Snoop Dogg and Eazy-E got.
How many out there like Eazy-E? It's Eazy-E.
It was legendary. Death Row Records versus Ruthless Records, Dre versus Eazy, and Snoop caught right in the middle of it all. And trust, things could have gone real bad for Snoop just for being down with Dre and Death Row at the time. That kind of loyalty can be dangerous when the streets are watching.
But I never could be friends with Eazy when I got with Dr. Dre. I could never say, damn, Eazy, you a bad motherfucker. What you?
Looking back now, it's almost unreal how Snoop made it out clean, especially since a lot of people never saw him as a real street dude compared to Eazy-E. And the drama, man, it ran deep. Some folks still say Snoop was always playing both sides. Whispers that he might have betrayed Tupac or even had something to do with his downfall.
Do you think Snoop felt the type of way about Tupac and the success he was having?
Yeah, of course.
Did you know that Tupac and Snoop wasn't seeing eye to eye like that before his death? Because you was one of the last people with him before he left for Vegas, because you recorded one of his last songs. So did you know you?
Yeah.
Others say he never really backed up his homies when it counted.
Tupac is just so loyal like that, man. If you with me, whoever my enemy is your enemy. But Snoop, being his own man, and I can see that, I can't say I was just friends with.
The accusations don't stop there. There's talk that Snoop even tried to be cool with Eazy while their camps were still going at it. If that's true, no wonder people started giving him the side eye. The streets don't forget. And now, Snoop's all smiles with the NWA crew like nothing ever happened. But back in the day, they were at war. From the messy breakup of NWA to the straight-up disrespect flying in every direction, we're diving into one of the nastiest feuds in West Coast rap history. What really happened between Snoop and Eazy?
You can't see me, you wanna be me. I got a message to the CPT. What's up, Eazy?
You can say all you wanna say. Basically, you can diss me all you want.
Let's get into it. That line, my Dre, my Death Row. That was just a taste of the chaos that went down.
Fuck Dre, Suge, Death Row.
The Snoop Dogg versus Eazy-E clash is hip-hop drama at its finest. Huge egos, lyrical warfare, and straight-up loyalty tests all over the place. It all blew up during the collapse of NWA, the group that put West Coast rap on the map. Suddenly, it was Dre and Snoop riding high with Death Row, trying to prove they were the real kings of the mic. It was classic 90s energy, bold, raw, and unfiltered. The real spark.
Are you still friends with your group?
A couple of them. Ice Cube, MC Ren, and Yella.
Okay, what about the other one?
Dr. Dre's track Dre Day. When that dropped in '92 on The Chronic, it was more than a diss. It was a full-blown declaration of war. Dre and Snoop teamed up to clown Eazy-E, taking shots at his rep and calling him out like never before. They didn't hold back, calling Eazy washed up, a fraud, and stuck in the past. But the biggest insult, that cartoon-style music video where they turned Eazy into Sleazy-E, a goofy Jerry curl-having hustler who looked like a joke. Total disrespect. But Eazy wasn't just gonna sit back and let that slide. No way. In '93, he fired back with real mother B's and G's. And whoo, he came for everyone. That was Eazy's way of saying, I'm still the boss, even if his shine wasn't what it used to be. He called Dre out hard, straight up saying he sold out the streets for fame and luxury. To Eazy, Dre betrayed the movement for a paycheck and left his day ones behind, but it didn't stop there. Eazy also aimed at Snoop and called him out as a fake gangster. He didn't buy the cool, chill image that Snoop was selling. To him, Snoop was just a studio-built rapper. All branding, no real street in him. That studio gangster label, it stuck, and it's been a running topic in the industry for years. A bunch of people have thrown shade or told wild stories that back it up. Actor Michael Jai White once said he was at the studio when a fight broke out between Snoop's crew and another squad.
I was at the studio when Snoop's crew and Mac 10's group got into this fight, and it was the funniest I'd ever want to see.
It looked serious at first, big dudes yelling, squaring up. But then he said it turned into a weak scuffle where nobody even threw down properly. Then it got straight up weird. Snoop's crew came back, not with weapons, but with pit bulls.
Because there was these big bodyguard type of dudes that was, what you want to do, what you do? And I was like, what the f?
Like it was some wild cartoon moment. People didn't know whether to laugh or be confused.
And then Snoop's guys was coming back, and I thought they was coming back with guns, and they had like 2 pit bulls. I'm like, get him, Sparky. I was like, this is some...
Still, Snoop always repped Long Beach and claimed ties to the Crips. He's been open about how his environment shaped him and how gang culture was just a part of life where he grew up. He didn't try to hide it. He embraced it and repped the blue flag heavy when his career popped off. But here's where it gets extra messy. A few years back, word started spreading that Snoop got banned from his own hood by the Long Beach Rollin' 20 Crips. Apparently, he pulled up with heavy security for some appearance and the locals weren't having it.
And Snoop blew it completely out of the water. He became the biggest rapper in the world.
Biggest Crip rapper in the world.
Whether it was respect issues or just bad blood, the streets made it clear. Snoop wasn't welcome like he used to be. Word on the block was that Snoop wasn't paying out royalties like he was supposed to, and that didn't sit right with some real ones from his old neighborhood.
So they had a thing for a minute that the Crips told was put a rumor around that Snoop couldn't come to the hood no more.
They weren't impressed by the red carpets or the Hollywood fame. This was about respect and street code. And in Long Beach, just like in Louisiana or Chicago, that code runs deep. See, folks sometimes forget that Louisiana gangs got structure too, not just wild crews. They've got ranks, from OGs to double and triple OGs, and a serious street order that you don't just ignore. So when some of these dudes felt like Snoop was slipping, they didn't keep it quiet. They told him straight up, you're not welcome here anymore.
Because no, you can't just drop your flag. You know what I'm saying? Like when you something like that, you gotta hold on to it forever.
Of course, Snoop didn't stay silent. He clapped back smooth but sharp. He brushed off the rumors and basically said, I go where I want. Then he flipped the script saying people were mad because he wasn't out here helping them anymore. But that's because he was busy doing good, like starting football leagues for kids and giving back to the community.
You mad, cuz? You mad because I won't call you big homie? Because I'm 40-something years old and I refuse to call another big homie?
And then Snoop really let loose. He said some of these big homies were just mad because he wasn't calling them that anymore, even though they had no jobs, no cars, and weren't doing anything positive. According to him, they were hating just because he leveled up and left the negativity behind. Snoop made it clear. He's about uplifting the younger generation and said his bond with the new wave in Long Beach is still strong, but not everyone's buying it. See, folks been side-eyeing Snoop for years, especially when it comes to how real he's been about his past, one of the biggest red flags. His relationship with Tupac.
Wasn't you in fear for your life because you put your cover over your head with the in your hand because you wanted to, because you was riding on a plane with Pac, and if it was all that love, you wouldn't have to.
For a long time, Snoop's claimed that he and Pac were tight, like ride or die brothers. But behind the scenes, people whisper something different. There's talk that when Tupac passed, he and Snoop weren't even speaking. And now some folks think Snoop might have been bending the truth, maybe even rewriting a little history to keep his image clean.
Because Dogg said, we're not going to Vegas. We're gonna post. So, he called us to the house and was basically like, look, this is what we do.
And it ain't just that one story. Some street legends say Snoop's been out here telling tales for years. Even some of the names he used to shout out, those same gangsters are now calling him out.
Not true, Snoop Doggy Doggy Dog. Snoop Lion. That's what you should need to keep your name. Snoop Lion, because you always lying.
They say he exaggerated a lot and made his come up sound way more dangerous than it really was. These are guys who knew him back in the day, and now they're saying he's more myth than reality. So now the big question is floating around. Has the Snoop Dogg legend finally started to crack? Has all that charm and cool talk been enough to keep the truth from catching up to him? Let's look at one of the wildest stories he ever told. Snoop once said that back when Tupac was locked up, Things were so bad that he had to convince Suge Knight to bail Pac out before something happened to him. Sounds intense, right? Like Snoop was the hero in Pac's darkest moment. But then Napoleon from the Outlaws, one of Tupac's close homies, came out and said that story's completely made up. According to him, Tupac was actually doing all right in prison. He was meeting people, taking pictures, even vibing with folks. There was no danger zone situation like Snoop claimed. Napoleon said that when they visited Pac, not once did he act like he was scared or in trouble. Sure, Pac wanted out, who wouldn't? But it wasn't because Snoop had made some emotional plea to Suge. That part, pure fiction apparently. And here's the thing, this ain't the only time Snoop's been accused of playing both sides. For years, people have said he switches up depending on who he's around.
That's how I was with Eazy-E. I loved Eazy-E.
Right as a kid.
But I never could be friends with Eazy-E when I got with Dr. Dre. I could never say, damn, Eazy, you a bad motherfucker. What you call your is hard. I always had to be like this.
Some say he's neutral to dodge the drama. Others think he's just smart, keeping connections with everybody, West Coast and East Coast, just in case things go sideways. Back during the heavy days of the East versus West beef in the 90s, Snoop's ties with both sides had a lot of people questioning his loyalty, especially when he stayed cool with artists from both coasts. And that, well, and it only added more heat to the rumors.
Big got in that studio and said, I don't know why this Snoop's calling me. I'm not telling this where I'm at.
Snoop might have been rolling deep with Dre and the whole Death Row fam, but he also kept it solid with East Coast giants like Nas and Jay-Z. That had people talking. Was Snoop just trying to avoid the smoke, or was he making sure his career didn't crash? Some think he knew when to back away playing it smart, or maybe playing both sides depending on who you ask. Whether he was keeping peace or just dodging the heat, it added a mysterious edge to Snoop's image. But one thing's for sure, Eazy-E wasn't buying it. To him, Snoop was fake.
You still friends with your group?
A couple of them. Ice Cube, MC Ren, and Yella.
Okay, what about the other one?
Straight up, Eazy. Now he was cut from a different cloth. He had serious street ties. Not just with the Southside Crips, but also with one of the most loyal and feared groups in Compton, the Mexican gangs. A lot of folks don't even know how deep that connection ran, but those who do, they'll tell you, those Latino crews had Eazy's back like no one else.
We told you, we rolling with you, fool. We got your back. What's cracking with this Death Row ruthless? Who you want gone?
Eazy had mad respect for Chicano culture. He didn't just talk about it, he lived it. That's what led him to sign Brownside, a raw, street-certified Chicano rap group led by the legendary Toker. The way they linked up was pure destiny. Eazy heard one of their tracks through a mutual homie, and from there, it just clicked. But Brownside wasn't some regular rap crew. These guys were really about that life. They had street cred that could shake a room. People who've been around them say just being in their presence made you feel the pressure. And Eazy, he loved that energy. He respected how the Latino gangs treated loyalty, like blood. No faking, no halfway love. If they rolled with you, they'd ride for you, no questions asked. Eazy felt that to his core, and he kept Brownside close. He knew when the drama hit end, and it always did. These were the ones who'd stand tall for him. That bond ran so deep, when Eazy's health started crashing, they were the ones who got him to the hospital. That's real love. While everything in his life was falling apart, he called Toker and his crew. Not some assistant, not a business partner, but them. And even after Eazy passed, that loyalty didn't fade. The Latino community stood up for Eazy's legacy. They kept looking out for his family, especially his son, Lil Eazy-E, making sure he always had real ones by his side. That kind of loyalty, you don't see that every day. Now check this. There's this one wild story that shows just how deep that respect ran. Eazy was chilling at a cheesecake factory one day, just vibing. Then out of nowhere, some dudes roll in claiming they're with Death Row. They start surrounding Eazy like they're about to flex on him. Big mistake. Turns out they picked the wrong day to act tough.
We got to ruthless. We got to ruthless when the Death Row ruthless beef was cracking. So they thought they were gonna overpower my boy because my boy was by himself. But you know, destiny.
Out of nowhere, the whole place fills up with Mexican gangsters who were there for one reason, to have Eazy's back.
He says, God, like that. I says, yeah, like that. God, Toast, man, I like you. Everywhere he went, he called.
These weren't random fans. These were real deal street soldiers. Those Death Row guys, they got shook fast. Their whole tough guy act fell apart. They realized real quick they were outnumbered and dipped before things turned ugly. And just to make sure they knew what time it was, Toker dropped a line. If you want to come back, we'll be right here. Yeah. Message received. Anyone trying to run up on Eazy had to deal with the Mexican gangs of Compton. That wasn't some rap beef. That was real-life danger. And the tension between Eazy and Suge Knight, the boss of Death Row, that was another beast entirely. Their beef wasn't about bars. It was about power. And it could have gone real dark. Word is, Eazy was actually ready to throw hands with Suge himself. But someone talked him down before it popped off. Things were already heated from way back. See, the issues between Eazy, Dre, and the rest of NWA had been bubbling under the surface for a long time. And at the center of it all, one man, Jerry Heller.
Eazy is his name and the boys coming straight out of Compton. It's a brother that'll smother your mother.
To some, Jerry was the genius behind Ruthless Records. To others, yeah, like Dre, he was the one pulling the group apart from the inside. Dre felt like Jerry was all about Eazy, and the rest of them were just left hanging. It had that divide and conquer vibe written all over it. Add in the drama over money, boom, instant chaos. Once Ruthless started stacking paper, Dre and his crew started wondering why their pockets weren't matching up. It didn't take long before folks started looking sideways at Jerry, wondering if he was doing something shady. The fact that he and Eazy were so tight, yeah, that just made it worse. To Dre and the crew, it felt like Jerry only rode for Eazy, and that left everybody else feeling like they were being played. This was the moment Suge Knight made his move, and everything changed. Suge was already known as a heavy hitter, both in size and reputation. The kind of dude you don't say no to. So when Dre and the DOC started getting suspicious about where the money was going at Ruthless Records, they turned to Suge, hoping he could help them break free from their contracts and maybe get some answers too. But things didn't go smooth. When Dre and the DOC asked Eazy-E to let them out of those contracts,
Eazy was pissed off at Suge for taking Dre, and it was much money and energy and work that Eazy put into starting Ruthless and making it a success, like that, it was, kind of gone.
Eazy shut that down quick. He wasn't about to just hand over Dre, the guy who was basically the heartbeat of Ruthless. Losing him would have been like slicing the label in half. Eazy was like, nah, that ain't happening. That's when Suge turned up the heat. And trust, Suge wasn't built for polite conversations. The story goes that one day, while NWA was working on the Niggas for Life album, Suge stepped to Eazy with a wild threat. He allegedly told him that Jerry Heller, Ruthless' infamous manager, had been snatched up and was locked inside a van outside the studio still. Eazy stood tall. He didn't flinch. Dude had backbone and no threat was gonna shake him. But Suge wasn't done playing games. When that didn't work, he pulled out a piece of paper with Eazy's mom's address written on it. That was the turning point. That wasn't just business anymore, and that was personal. The message was crystal clear. Let Dre and the DOC walk, or your family might pay the price. Faced with that kind of pressure, Eazy finally gave in. He signed the release papers, setting Dre loose and basically delivering him into Suge's world at Death Row. That's one version of the story, at least. There's always more than one side in hip-hop history, and this one's got layers. Now, when we talk about Suge Knight and Death Row, we're talking about straight-up chaos. Suge didn't just launch a label. He launched a full-blown empire built on fear, loyalty, and some of the most savage business tactics in the game. He co-founded Death Row in '91 with Dre, the DOC, and Dick Griffey. While Dre got all the limelight, Suge was the puppet master, calling shots behind the scenes. His presence was massive, both physically and in the business world. And he wasn't afraid to bend the rules or break them to protect his empire. Stories about Suge using threats and intimidation, they're not just rumors. That was the Death Row playbook. And with Dre dropping The Chronic and Snoop hitting big with Doggy Style, the label took over the rap scene like a storm. But with all that heat came major tension. Suge's aggressive style kept Death Row in drama mode 24/7. The bigger they got, the more reckless things became. Dre saw Snoop's talent early and pulled him in for The Chronic. When Snoop delivered on Nothing But a G Thing, it was clear Dre had struck gold. By '93, Snoop's Doggy Style album exploded. Straight to #1, multi-platinum, and he was officially the next big star. But while Snoop was blowing up, his relationship with Suge was far from perfect. Suge treated him like Death Row's crown jewel, boosting the label's street rep using Snoop's Long Beach connections. But deep down, Snoop wasn't vibing with the violent energy around Suge's operation. By 1996, things were getting heavy. Suge's tactics, the constant drama, and the toxic atmosphere were grinding Snoop down. He was still a major figure at the label, but the cracks were showing. Snoop was ready for a new chapter, and something that didn't come with bodyguards and beefs around every corner. So in '98, he made his move. Snoop bounced from Death Row and linked up with Master P's No Limit Records. His debut with them, Dog Game Is to Be Sold, Not to Be Told, wasn't a critic favorite, but it still hit #1 on Billboard. That was proof Snoop could thrive without Death Row's shadow. With No Limit, Snoop got more creative freedom and left the chaos behind. By 2000, he dropped No Limit Top Dog, another commercial win. But it was in 2002 with Paid the Cost to Be the Boss where fans really saw a shift. The sound was smoother, more mainstream. Tracks like Beautiful with Pharrell showed a more mature, laid-back Snoop. No more gangsta posturing. He was evolving. From there, Snoop went everywhere. Collabs with pop and R&B artists? Check. A #1 smash with Drop It Like It's Hot in 2004? Done. He even crossed into TV and business, launching a production company, acting in Training Day, and starring in his reality series, Snoop Dogg's Fatherhood. Then came the entrepreneur side. He dropped a cannabis brand that matched his chill image, became an internet favorite with viral memes, cooking tutorials, and motivational clips. And of course, his unlikely but iconic show with Martha Stewart, Martha and Snoop's Potluck Dinner Party, brought him into everyone's living room. As for Eazy-E, we can only imagine how far he would have gone if life hadn't cut things short. He had the vision, the smarts, and the hustle to keep flipping the industry on its head. Eazy-E wasn't just dropping bars, he was building an empire. With NWA and Ruthless Records, he laid the foundation for a movement. And if he'd lived longer, there's no doubt he would have taken things to a whole new level. This man had an eye for talent. Just look at how he discovered Bone Thugs and Harmony before the world even knew their name. That's not luck, that's vision. You can bet Eazy would have expanded into fashion, film, and maybe even tech. The dude had hustle in his DNA. He didn't wait for the industry to hand him a seat at the table. He built his own. With his mind for business and street smarts, Eazy-E could have led the charge into the digital era of hip-hop, streaming, social media, global collabs. He would have been ahead of it all. And don't get it twisted, he would have stayed relevant. Eazy had that rare mix of authenticity and adaptability. He probably would have been mentoring young stars, collaborating with artists outside of rap, jumping into acting, TV, maybe even producing. The guy was born to be a cultural icon, not just a rap legend. Even after everything with Death Row, Eazy's influence would have stayed strong in West Coast rap. His commitment to realness and independent success would have shaped a new wave of artists and inspired the next generation to bet on themselves. If Eazy was still here today, he wouldn't just be remembered in the history books, he'd still be writing them. If you made it this far, hit that like button, drop a comment with your thoughts, and don't forget to subscribe. Share this with someone who loves hip-hop history, and we'll catch you in the next one.